What you are about to hear are not fiction. These are real accounts from real people who encountered something they could never fully explain. Some survived by luck. Some still don't know how close they came to never telling their story at all. Turn off your lights and listen. He was in the water. Then he was on the deck. It was a warm summer night. A 21-year-old college student was home alone at his family's house, a large, upscale property sitting right on the edge of a private pond. The neighbors were far apart. The backyard bled into darkness. He was in the sunroom, the most comfortable room in the house, windows wide open, a light breeze coming off the water. Everything was quiet. Everything was normal. Until it wasn't. He heard splashing, coming from the pond. At first, he thought nothing of it. Ducks, geese, the usual wildlife making noise in the water. But the sound persisted, and it was heavy, too heavy. He lowered the TV volume and pressed his ear against the window screen. These were not the chaotic splashes of a bird. These were the rhythmic, deliberate splashes of a person. And then cutting through the summer night like a blade, humming. A man's voice, low and steady, humming to himself in the dark water. Someone was in the pond, and they were trespassing. He stepped outside onto the deck and stared into the black void of the backyard. He could hear it clearly now. The splashing, the humming. He went back inside and flicked on the outdoor deck lights. Just like that, silence. The splashing stopped. The humming stopped. Whatever was out there saw the light and stopped. He locked the door, texted his brother, and tried to convince himself it was just a neighbor being weird. He turned the TV back on. He tried to focus. He couldn't. The room was lit by the glow of the television. He hadn't thought about how visible that made him from outside. Then, a sound on the deck. He scrambled for the remote and killed the TV. The room went black. Silence. And then, in that silence, something became horribly, unmistakably clear. Heavy breathing. Just outside one of the windows. Right there. Inches away. The man was on the deck. He had come out of the water. He had walked up to the house. And he was standing at the window, breathing. He threw himself flat onto the couch, pressing his body down, trying to disappear. His heart hammered. His lungs burned. A few seconds passed. Maybe 10. Maybe 30. Time stopped making sense. And then, from right outside that window, a deep male voice said 3 words. Just 3 words. See you. He didn't scream. He didn't move. He lay there frozen, hoping it was a neighbor, anyone he knew. He called out a name. No answer. Just footsteps. Slow, barefoot footsteps retreating into the dark. His father told him to check the deck, to be the man of the house. Armed with a kitchen knife and every ounce of courage he had left, he stepped outside. He looked down. Wet, barefoot footprints. Half-dried. They led around to the side of the deck. He followed them. And what he saw at the edge of the deck nearly stopped his heart. A pair of eyes and a forehead just barely peering over the top of the deck from below, as if the man had heard him coming, crouched down, and was waiting. Watching. They made eye contact, and the figure turned and disappeared into the darkness. The voice in the parking lot. Some habits seem completely harmless. Walk the dog. Same route. Every night. One earbud in, flashlight in hand, the familiar loop through the quiet condo parking lot. For this person, it had never been a problem. Until one night, it was. As they approached the darkened lot, something slipped through the music. A voice. Ahead of them. They almost missed it entirely, brain still half zoned out, feet still moving forward. But something made them stop. Pull the earbud out. Stand still. And listen. It came again. Muffled. Close. From the direction of the parked cars on the left. A child's voice. Saying one word. Help. Just that. One word. The person swung their flashlight in every direction. Between cars, under bumpers, around shadows. Nothing. No child. No one. The dog had stopped sniffing the bushes. Its ears were up. It was staring in the exact same direction. It heard it too. And then it came again. And again. 3 more times. Always the same word. Always the same flat, muffled tone. No crying. No panic. No change in inflection. Not a cry for help. A recitation of the word help. That's when the horror of it fully settled in. The voice didn't sound entirely like a child. It was something in between. An adult and a child at once, blended together in a way that defied explanation. And it was always muffled, as if coming from somewhere enclosed. Something was inside one of those cars. Or something was pretending to need help, waiting for a person to come closer. To lean in, to open a door. They ran. And they never found out what was in those shadows. He was in the room every night. This next story is perhaps the most terrifying of all, because it didn't happen in one night. It happened over months. To a child. In their own bedroom. The young boy struggled with depression. He spent most of his time alone in his room, a large back corner bedroom with windows on 2 walls that faced nothing but dense, dark woods. Trees on 3 sides. A forest between the house and any neighbors. And this child, already scared, already lonely, started to notice things. It started with the nightlight. He always kept it on red. Fell asleep to it every night. But he'd wake in the middle of the night and it would be a different color. He'd wake in the morning and find it changed. He asked his parents. They dismissed it. A glitch, they said. Then one morning, the nightlight was unplugged. Sitting on the floor. His parents denied touching it. Then it disappeared entirely. Completely gone. What followed was an accusation between a confused child and defensive parents who could not explain where a nightlight had gone. But neither of them had taken it. Someone else had. Then came the nights. 3 in a row, then 4. The boy woke up each time in the dead of night, jolted awake by nothing he could identify. On the 5th night, he stayed awake and listened. And from the closet, rustling. Faint but unmistakable. Something moving inside. His parents checked. Found nothing but old toys and posters. But night after night, the rustling continued. The boy begged them to believe him. His father, furious, finally dragged him to the closet and began throwing things out one by one, ripping posters off the walls. Until he ripped off one last poster. And both parents froze. Behind the poster was a hole. Not a small crack. A massive, gaping hole in the wall. Too dark to see where it ended. The father ran outside, flashlight in hand, and dug at the base of the house's exterior where the hole would exit. What he found made his wife scream. There was a passageway, a tunnel, dug through the earth, from the woods directly to this boy's bedroom. Someone had been using it, coming in at night, standing in the dark, watching a child sleep. For over a month. Who they were, what they wanted, why they never acted, that answer died in the dark with them. From the outside, you'd almost miss it. A small hole at the base of the house. But dig even slightly, and the truth became undeniable. A tunnel, built deliberately, built patiently. Someone had decided, weeks, maybe months ago, that they wanted access to that child's room. And they built their own door. The family left that night. They never went back. Someone was standing right behind you. High school. A normal Friday afternoon. A girl named Emma's friend ducked into the school bathroom while Emma waited outside. The moment she stepped in, she noticed something odd. The bathroom was completely empty. This bathroom was always crowded. Boys. She shrugged it off, stepped into a stall, and sat down. Then she heard it. The bathroom door open and close. And then nothing. No footsteps to a sink. No footsteps to another stall. Just silence. Someone had walked in. And then stopped moving entirely. Emma had grown curious when her friend didn't come out. She stepped inside the bathroom to check. What she saw made her leave immediately without saying a word. Looking under the stall door, she saw her friend's shoes facing forward. And immediately behind them, another pair of shoes. Bare feet. Pressed so close they were almost touching. Someone was standing directly behind her friend in the stall. Silently, not making a single sound. Emma's friend had no idea anyone was there. He left notes. He knew her name. She was young, living alone for the first time in a small rented house. A fresh job. A new life. The landlord was kind. The neighborhood seemed fine. Then one night, late, someone knocked on her door. She called out, no answer. She didn't open it. The next morning, taped to her storm door, a note. 2 words. Hello, beautiful. She crumpled it up, threw it away, and told herself it was nothing. It was not nothing. The knocks continued. Every night. She never opened the door. But every morning, a new note. The second one read, I like to watch you. The notes meant he could see inside. He had been standing outside, in the dark, watching her through the windows while she lived her life. Cooking, watching TV, existing, completely unaware. She was never alone in the way she thought she was. She left a note of her own, warning whoever it was that Michelle, the landlord, no longer lived there. That this was her house now. That she would call the police. For one night there was silence. She thought it was over. It wasn't. The next morning, a new note. It said, I'm not looking for Michelle. I'm looking for you. And then, her name. He knew her name. This was never a case of mistaken identity. It was always her. It had always been her. The Tinder trap. He was a college sophomore in California. He'd been using Tinder and matched with a girl. They met at his favorite bar, pool tables, drinks, easy conversation. She was charming, funny, and by the end of the night asked if he'd come back to her apartment. He said yes. He got in the Uber. He didn't think twice. He should have. The first sign was the neighborhood. They had crossed into Oakland. He told himself it was fine. She unlocked the apartment door and stepped aside. Ladies first, she said, or something like it. He stepped inside. The room was pitch black. He turned to ask her for the lights. The door clicked shut behind him, and then the lights came on. The girl was gone. In her place, 3 large men. 2 behind him at the door. 1 in front of him. He had walked directly into a trap. She thought it was just a nightmare. She was going through a rough time. A breakup. A difficult stretch of life. She'd been having nightmares, vivid, disturbing ones, featuring a dark creature that kept getting closer in her dreams without ever seeming to move. She'd wake up shaken but dismissed them as the mind processing grief. Then one night, in the dream, the creature scratched her thigh. She woke up screaming, and when she looked down, there was a real gash in her skin. Her roommate Trish helped her tear apart the bed looking for what could have caused the wound. A sharp spring. A bug. Anything rational. And then Trish held up one finger and turned off the AC unit. The white noise died. And in the silence, they both heard it. A faint sound. Directly beneath the bed. The soft, unmistakable sound of a person simply existing in a room. Someone had been living under her bed. Coming out at night. Walking the apartment. And one night, reaching up while she slept. He followed it into the woods. He was a night owl. Smoked on his balcony most nights, long after the neighborhood went to sleep. One night he noticed something different across the fence at his neighbor's house. A black van he'd never seen before. It was back the next night, and the night after that. He told himself it was none of his business. He told himself that right up until the night he watched his neighbor carry a long, heavy black bag out of his house at 5 in the morning, load it carefully into the van, and drive away. He followed the van one night. Lights off, keeping his distance. 20 minutes of driving led him off the main road and onto a dirt path cutting through dense woods. And at the end of that path, a deserted gas station hidden in a clearing. His neighbor's BMW was already there. When he finally worked up the nerve to approach the building alone, he found every door locked, every window sealed. He picked up a rock. He smashed a window, and an alarm started screaming. because someone had gone through the trouble of wiring an abandoned gas station in the middle of the woods with a security system. The next morning, his neighbor was escorted out of his house in handcuffs, and the road to the gas station was permanently blocked off. It moved on its own, 3 times. This last story comes from childhood. A boy and his older brother shared a large upstairs bedroom, once a separate apartment. Plenty of toys, plenty of space, and a particular toy race car that had sat in the room for years. One night, both brothers were lying in bed, not yet asleep, when without warning the toy car lit up in the middle of the room and blared its sound effects. Lights flashing, engine revving, horn honking. The older brother denied touching it. Neither of them was anywhere near it. The car had been moved across the hall, too frightening to keep in the room. One night, the older brother was away. The younger boy was alone. He asked his mother to leave the door open. He lay on his side, trying to sleep, heart already racing from the silence. And then he heard a sound in the hallway. He turned over, and the toy car rolled slowly through the open doorway and into the room. Lights blinking, on its own. A toy with no self-propulsion feature, no remote control, rolling into the room. To find him. 9 stories, 9 real people, 9 nights they would never forget. The swimmer in the dark water, the voice that said, "Help," the tunnel under the bedroom, the feet in the bathroom stall, the notes left by a man who knew her name, the trap in Oakland, the person under the bed, the black van and what it carried, and a toy car that came looking for a child in the dark. These people didn't ask for what happened to them. It found them in their homes, in their habits, in their most ordinary moments. And the truth that all of them now share, the truth that should keep you awake tonight, is that they were never as alone as they thought they were. Neither are you. Good night.